Makabodana maniambo majimbala la marita Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judge. Almost got myself there.
Almost fucked it up.
I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me as always is my good brother here in the temple, the man of 1,000 runes, the CEO of Zadaria Enterprises, and the bane of my fucking existence, good brother Xanatrix.
Zadaria Enterprises would like to let you know that the rewrites are finally done. We're just on the final editing run. Fuck you, this is almost real.
Oh. Am I legally required to post the final countdown in that particular thread?
No, I already made the joke in VC. We're good.
Alright. Look, whenever the home stretch of a project is put up, posting Europe's the final countdown is legally required. And I've gotten on people who do Kickstarters and I'm like, you announced that it's the last 2 days and you didn't use the final countdown? For shame, man.
No, I made the joke about maybe just singing it in VC at one point to get under your nerves. I thought that would be funny.
Please don't. We have to pay $50,000 for every time we play that thing.
No! See, if I'm singing it, it's a fan cover and isn't covered by that, because we're not using the exact recording. So, if I sing it, we're good.
Mm-hmm. But, now, this was If I was to nickname this week, it is the week of the audibles, because I had to do 3 reschedules this week. The interview I was planning on doing on Wednesday that didn't happen because of double booking on both of our parts. The initial thing I was going to cover for Valley yesterday, I ended up getting a surprise entry at the literal last minute, and we decided to cover that instead. And what was supposed to be Shadow Scar this week ended up being delayed because Shadow Scar won't be releasing the Eyes in the Darkness quick start until mid-July. That's all I know as far as the date right now.
I tried, people. I begged, I pleaded, I publicly tweeted R. Talsorian Games once or twice and was like, please, pretty please. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I know that those guys have their own plans, and their plans are usually pretty fucking good.
Yeah. So it's a case where we're still going to be doing it. It's just I don't know the exact date yet, and I won't until one of my little birds tells me that it's actually up on either DTRPG or their site or both. So, because of that, we're continuing on with Gubat-Banwa, and next week we'll be doing a one-shot.
Indeed.
And for some of you, I'm going to make you eat all the fucking crow in the universe, given some of the shit that got thrown my way when that particular project was announced. Which is currently on Kickstarter and is doing quite well for itself. Oh.
All I have to say is crows together humility.
Now, of course, this isn't the first time, and I had a mutual friend of ours reached out to me about DC-20 and wanting to confirm whether it's a D&D knockoff, and I basically told him it is a knockoff only in the sense that you are rolling a D20.
If the similarity is you're rolling polyhedral dice with, if you're rolling an icosahedron as part of conflict resolution, that is what we call, I don't know, 2 people with the same nose, but everything else is different.
At that point, can you really go? If we're gonna go with knockoffs, then you'd have to say that Rollmaster is a D&D knockoff. Even by the time Arms Law was made, Rollmaster was very far removed from AD&D. And by the time MERP came along, which was my introduction to it, comparing the two was, there is no comparison. Putting aside the fact that one uses a D100 and the other doesn't, that there is no longer any comparison if you go back and read first edition MERP.
Yeah, and you really know that people asking, is this an X knockoff, are just looking for reasons to hate it.
Or looking for excuses to constantly be cynical.
Exactly.
That's why we call it performative, because eventually it comes off fake. Like someone is more concerned about the appearance of being cynical to be hip and trendy than anything else.
Yeah, and it's an extension of our mantra: games not names. Mm-hmm. Games not names is used to mean just let the game go on its own, don't care about who made it. But it also means just let the game live or die on its own, no matter what its influences were. Because those influences are names as well.
Mm-hmm. Now getting back on the rails, we had to get that out of our system because of recent events.
Monk, please, I really want to start with this one.
Yeah, we are diving further into the disciplines, this time with the Virbanwa Lakanate. And
yeah, the Virbanwa Lakanate.
We have 5 disciplines that we're going with, and
I really want to start.
Yep, so the first one we have is the Barrel Witch, and I will let you take this one.
First, just for any of you looking at the splash screen, the Barrel Witch is the guy with the giant fucking musket and the 3 fireballs around him.
Mm-hmm.
Blue fireballs that have nice little sigils on them. This guy looks dapper as shit. I wanted to start. Barrel Witch. Devil witches of the battlefield. Masters of witch powder. The bullet through God's skull. God, that line is so fucking metal. Style is sharpshooter, complexity is complex. Their discipline attributes are a posture of 18, a speed of 3, a jump of 2, and evade of 1, and they get a +2 bonus to spirit. Their weapons are terracools, matchlocks, arquebuses, lantakas, setbangs, and baril. Barrel. I'm not sure how we would pronounce that. I think it's baril. I think the emphasis would probably be on the second syllable. But feel free to correct me, anyone who speaks Cebuano. I will try my best. The armor that they prefer are silk jackets, war hats, aristocrat vestments, sarongs, pants, and boots. Oh, it's baril. Okay, yeah. The stress is on the second syllable. It's right there. Mm-hmm. Baril just means gun, and commonly means arquebuses, but pertains to any gun. Their discipline philosophy is gun mastery. Is this gun kundo except on crack? When you make an attack against a flame fighter, gain a thunderbolt afterwards. Monk, why do I feel like this is the swordfish guy from the last set of disciplines who gets everybody doused to get more power, to make them more doused again?
Yep.
This is what this feels like to me. While you have thunderbolts, you have an Overwatch Aura 3. Huh, they're already up to 3 games. Any enemy that moves into or leaves a tile in this aura, you may deal D4 damage against once per enemy per riff. Okay, it's good that they set that limit. I have seen mechanics in other games where like, hey, yeah, there's this aura. If somebody moves into it or leaves in it, they take damage. And if you have an enemy that goes in and comes out, it double dips. This is to prevent double dipping.
Yeah.
I really like it. Then we have blowback. When you move or are moved, you may spend a thunderbolt to blast with your gun, letting you fly 2 tiles afterwards.
Rocket jumping.
Not just rocket jumping, Monk. This is some of the trickster bullshit Dante pulled with guns. Mm-hmm. God Ignite. When you attack, you may ignite your gun by spending a thunderbolt beforehand to add the fire mantra to that attack and deal plus D4 damage. What if the attack already has fire mantra? Can you still just get the plus D4? I think you should.
Probably. That's what I'd rule.
Ooh. Joss reloads. For those of you thinking Joss Whedon, no. Joss is in reference to a type of incense and paper used at funerary rites. When you make a ranged attack, you may spend a thunderbolt afterwards to quickly reload your gun. Your next ranged or area attack gains +1 merit. Monk, it's a timed reload from Gears of War.
Yep.
Or at least that Gears of War popularized and has now actually spread to quite a few different games.
Because it's a very good system for reinforcing a use out of reload. It's the only other major game I can think of that put a bigger emphasis on reloads in terms of its mechanics would be Outlaws. Although in that case it was a lot simpler. It's more the fact that you don't reload a full clip because you don't have a speed loader. You gotta reload individually.
Or Helldivers. Helldivers 2, you don't want to reload in the middle of a clip because then all that ammo's gone. But I like the name of their inflict violence. Channel the Gun God. We have Bala Osuwang, which shoot an enchanted bullet. It's 1 beat. It's an attack that uses the soul mantra, or is a soul attack, I guess is the best way to put it. Target is 1 fighter in range 3 to 8. Oh man, this guy is a sniper. For sure. Ranged attack, D4 plus spirit versus resilience. Special, this attack ignores blocking terrain. Oh yeah! Sniper as fuck. We have Liya Bosuwang. Unleash an inferno of burning witchery. 1 beat and attack with the fire mantra. All enemies in Blast 3. D4 Spirit plus Resilience. Or D4 plus Spirit versus Resilience. Excuse me. I read that wrong. My bad. But, Monk, is this just fireworks? This feels like it's just fireworks. I'm gonna do nunchucks with my shotgun while shooting off shots in all directions.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like fireworks. Then, Sayo Osuang. Dance with your guns, juggling them all about you. No, this is fireworks. I was wrong. 1 beat, an attack using the fire mantra. All enemies in burst 1. It's an area attack that's D6 plus Spirit versus Resilience, and the effect is you may move 1 before or after the attack. Nice.
Very nice. And unfortunately, not enough DACA.
We'll probably get there.
Probably. But next up is the Enlightenment. Did you want me to take that?
Mm-hmm. We've been trading off pages like usual, so.
Alright, the Enlightenment is Piercing Kanadman. Hoping I got that
I think
right.
that's Kinadman.
Kinadman. Oh. Your ranged attacks against targets in 3+ tiles away from you cannot be evaded. Additionally, all your attacks against a flame fighters gain plus D4.
So now nobody can evade your shots and have to either block them or soak them. And if people are on fire, not only do you get thunderbolts, you get more damage.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
See, their liberation is shoot God in the head. Oh. Level 1 is Bullet Dance. Anything it takes, the ancestors tell you. Anything it takes to win, shoot your bullets all about you in a bullet dance. It's 1 beat. It's attack with the fire mantra. Target all enemies in burst 5. Then area attack 3d6 plus spirit versus resilience. And effect, you may fly 3 before and after the attack.
And that one says and.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It is an ideal hit, which would make it an ideal hit and run tactic.
That's exactly what it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, level 2, Bullet Hell. You forge such an intimate connection with your gun, all in all caps. The gun is but a tool. Balahari Gilusat tells you. Do not get attached to beings that have never been human, fool. Kill it. Kill it now, before it realizes your soul and shoots itself through you. Shoot heaven, and change the weather itself into an unescapable bullet hell. It's 1 beat. Change the weather into bullet hell. The battlefield is torn asunder and ripped through by bullets you have summoned. Any enemy that leaves a tile suffers 4, 5, or 6 true damage. What the... Literally making it rain bullets. What the fuck?
Literally making it rain bullets by rejecting the gun and shooting heaven. What? This is like a Buddhist koan for extremely violent people.
And level 3, shoot God in the head again. Finally summon your god in the battlefield. Grasp them by the throat, jam your gun into their mouth, and fire. A Gandiwada is new and excited, and it does not know yet its power. The power to level entire nations. Now kill it. Bask in the bullet hell you've made, witch. It's 1 beat, targets 1 fighter on the battlefield. Deal 6d6 damage thrice to the target. If the target is defeated because of this, they are killed and you suffer a wound. Add +4 to the Gaba pool. To be able to use burial witch techniques, philosophies, inflict violences, enlightenments, and liberations, you must bind a new god to your gun.
You kill the god in your gun. to kill somebody else and have to put a new god in your gun, what god is going to get in your gun after this? Just knowing that at some point you're going to summon them to the battlefield and shoot them in the fucking mouth. What? That's very interesting. With that, we move on to the signature techniques, starting with the level 1 technique, Calabit Diablo. You heat your gun and then unleash it with staggered burning release. 1 beat attack physical, and it's a flurry attack. Targets 1 enemy in range 3 to 8. That's a ranged attack of d6 plus spirit versus parry. If the target is exactly 3 tiles away, deal plus d4 damage. And for the flurry, you spend an extra beat to unleash another barrage of bullets, with bullet casings erupting from your gun. Roll a 2d6 and then apply the damage to all fighters in burst 1 of you. Okay.
Here, we fired the whole bullet. That's 100% more bullet per bullet.
Then we have level 2, which utters the bullets. You can speak with the spirits of your bullets and then shoot them into the battlefield, and they stay dancing. 1 beat, you summon 3 bullets in 3 different tiles within burst 5 of you. These are size 1/4 objects. At the end of any riff, you may slide them 1 tile. When they collide with any fighter, deal 1 plus your rank damage to the fighter, and then remove the bullet from the battlefield.
It's Sex Pistols.
It's traps, Monk.
Oh, it is.
These are in fact, no. Monk, it's Whole Horse.
Yeah.
Guiding the bullet around except this is 3 bullets. So better than Whole. For the level 3 signature technique, we have Baladewa Whirlwind. You leap into the sky and twirl, raining down hell with bullets, a waltz of fire and missile. I think that's is that supposed to be a waltz or O waltz of fire and missile? I think that's supposed to be an A.
That's an A.
Let me zoom in. Yeah, that's an A. The zoom was tricking with. It was a trick of the light. So it's a waltz of fire and missile. 1 beat, an attack with the fire mantra. Effect, fly 4 before the attack. At any point in the movement, make the following attack. Target all enemies in burst 1. It's an area attack that's d8 plus spirit versus resilience, plus d4 if the targets are suffering any affliction. That's nice. And then we, as our level 4 signature technique, we have the Lantaka Psalm. You can summon a Lantaka and unleash an explosive blast from it, filling the air with witch powder and ember. 1 beat, an attack with a fire mantra. Targets all enemies in blast 5. Does d6 plus spirit versus resilience, and you roll plus d12 if you are a flame. And the effect is push yourself 3 tiles away from the blast. So if you're on fire, you do more damage, apparently.
This is what happens when you give a bright wizard a gun. Although, are you gonna read the quote for that?
Sure. Quaff Mankukulam, my gun shall go against the Almighty. With this bullet, I shall spit in the face of God. Let him face the force of the shooting star. I am Mankukulam, and my flame shall never die. Not even God can extinguish my fire with his drool.
So, we're off to an interesting start with just that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, next we have the Blade Weaver. Holy Masters of the Sword, Kinadman. Disciples of the Art of Cutting, Sword Sorcerers. The good old Gishes. Their style is medium, their complexity is complex. Their attributes are... Position, posture 22, speed is 4, jump is 3, evade is 2, They have a +1 bonus to ferocity and spirit. Their weapons are kalis, prayer beads, prayer strips, mudras, ululations, pinut, ginuting, long kampilan. Their armors are shawls, boots, sandals, pants, war jackets, robes, battle garb breastplates, war hats, peaked helmets, and cuirasses. Their discipline philosophy is sword sorcery. You are a master of weaving blades, of balancing ferocity and spirituality. When you make a ranged attack against a fighter that is at least 3+ tiles away from you, gain a thunderbolt afterwards. You start violence in sorcery state. Interesting. And then we have the three thunderbolt abilities. Pina Kamentala. When you make a ranged attack, you shift into sorcery state afterwards if you're not already in it. While in sorcery state, when an ally in burst 3 suffers an attack, you may spend a thunderbolt beforehand to add +d6 to their defense against this attack. This does not stack. Then we have Pina Kakalis. When you make a melee attack, you shift into sword state afterwards if you are not already in it. While in sword state, when an ally in burst 3 makes an attack, you may spend a thunderbolt beforehand and add +d6 damage to that attack. This does not stack. And thirdly, Pinagasama. I'm pretty sure I messed that one up.
That's fine. Pinot-sama is probably how it goes.
When you make a melee attack, you may spend a thunderbolt afterwards to heal yourself or any ally in burst 3 by d6 plus your spirit.
So ranged attacks shift you to sorcery. Melee attacks shift you to sword. When you shift into sword, or when you're in one of these two stances, you can spend thunderbolts to either bolster defenses or bolster attacks. At any time you make a melee attack and have thunderbolts, you can also heal.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So you can see the loop. Ranged attacks to give yourself thunderbolts, and melee attack to better utilize healing.
Yep. Range attacks to give you thunderbolts to give you buffs.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbolts to give you healing, which just makes the loop tighter. Yep. I'm going to continue referencing that fucking Russian Badger short. The rest of you should all go watch it. It's called Infinite Dopamine Loop.
The inflict violence is sword and sorcery cast aloft. And the first form of it is Mentala Paruparo. Incant a quick oration, and a sword-winged butterflies coalesce into a damaging orb of pure cutting energy. It's 1 beat, an attack with the wind mantra, targets 1 fighter in range 2 to 4. It's a ranged attack, d6 plus spirit versus parry. Throw yourself up to 2 tiles away from the target as you flip away. Interesting. Interesting. A very keep away kind of tactic. Then
keeps them out of range so that you can continue to be in sorcery state.
Mm-hmm. Then Kalis Laho. Incant a quick oration, your breath of fire, imbuing your weapon with the power of the eclipse-causing dragon. Then strike. It's 1 beat, an attack with the physical mantra. Targets 1 adjacent fighter. It is a melee attack that is d8 plus ferocity versus parry. The target suffers d plus d2 extra damage on the next attack from an ally until the end of your next riff. And lastly, Tabak Nabulusak. Incant a quick oration, then leap toward the target of your scorn with a blinking movement before striking. It's 1 beat, physical attack, targets 1 fighter at range 3. Before making the attack, fly 2 to a tile adjacent to the fighter. It's a melee attack, d6 plus spirit versus parry. If this attack causes you to shift into sword state, deal plus d4 damage, and you can throw the target 2 tiles away if you wish.
There's your loot, monk.
Yeah.
Mentala into Tabak into Mentala again.
Mm-hmm. Good old stance
So
dancing.
Mm-hmm. Be really nice.
Then we have the Enlightenment, and I'll let you take that.
Mm-hmm. The Enlightenment is called Sword God Rider. When you rush, you now float for the duration of the movement. Any ally you move through during this movement gains merit on their next attack, once per ally. As well, we have their liberation, called the Sword Oath Consummation. We have a level 1, Sword Imbue Oracion. Blade Weavers can use magic to attain a false enlightenment for a short amount of time. One beat with the Wind Mantra targets all allies in burst 5. The target gains plus 2d8 to all melee and ranged attacks until the end of violence. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Level 2 is Knife Step of Sword Liberator Maranon. A particular blade weaver named Maranon, the leaf dancing in cutting fields, used this to steal Pale King intel from a galleon in the middle of the night. And she fended off at least 2 Pale King elite warriors to get the info back to the Lakanate. Unfortunately, she disappeared into nothingness the next night. Costs 2 beats as an attack. Targets 1 adjacent enemy. It's a melee attack that does D10 plus ferocity plus spirit versus resilience. The effect is all allies adjacent to the target may inflict violence with plus 2d8 to the attack. The allies keep the 2d8 to all melee and ranged attacks until the end of violence. Then you and all allies teleport 5. That's not Cold Steel anymore, Monk. That's just straight up Shadow doing chaos control.
Yeah. Yep. Also dragging people along with specialized movement. Is this the Field Knight again?
Funny. I'm not playing one of those.
Oh.
Then we have level 3, Blade of the God of Unerring Hurricane. Achieve Hiyang through sword mastery. You are not a weapon to kill, but rather a weapon to cut away the brambles and tangles that bar you and your people from the future. It's 1 beat, it targets you and all allies in the battlefield, and the targets gain plus 1 beat to all rifts until the end of violence. I assume you get 2 beats per riff, because we've seen costs of 1 and costs of 2. And so this would give you 3 beats in a riff.
It's haste.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct. That leaves you with the signature techniques there, Monk.
Alright. So the first is Mentala of the Hito. You twirl your blade and twist your fingers into a mudra, granting the catfish meditation upon an ally. Eventually, the inscribed Mentala says the name of the water dragons until the surat of the deep sea serpent octopus explodes into reality. 1 beat is an attack with the water mantra and is a flurry. Targets 1 adjacent fighter. Melee attack that deals D8 plus spirit versus resilience. All allies in burst 3 of the target, including yourself, gain protect. As a flurry, you can spend another beat to throw yourself 3 tiles away, flipping and then making the following attack, ignoring combo breaker. Targets the fighter damaged by this technique. A ranged attack that deals D10 plus spirit versus resilience.
That's a nice little flurry.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Then the second technique is Mentala of the Alamid. You enchant Mentala that sharpens blades, then strike the air with blistering speed, inscribing the surat with every sword stroke. Every time spent casting the spell, woven into strikes, carves complex Mentalas that eventually become a burning tiger. It's 1 beat, an attack with the fire mantra, and is another flurry. That's interesting. We haven't had multiple flurries at once in a while. Targets 1 fighter in range 2 to 4. So ranged attack deals D8 plus spirit versus resilience. All allies in burst 3 of the target, including yourself, gain strengthened and relentless until the end of the next riff. As a flurry, you can spend another beat to teleport adjacent to the target, and then perform the following attack, ignoring Combo Breaker. Targets the fighter damaged by this technique. It's a melee attack that deals D10 plus ferocity versus parry.
You'll notice that with these two techniques, Monk, they start as an attack that would put you in one stance, but if you follow up with a flurry, you're in the other stance at the end. Like, Mental of the Hito was a melee attack that would put you into sword stance, but if you do the flurry, it follows up as a ranged attack that would put you into sorcery. Mental of the Olivet is vice versa.
Yep. Once again, we're hitting that infinite dopamine loop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Then the third is the Blade of Displacement. You can trace the Surat of time and space, cutting it thrice in one strike, ripping time-space. It's a one-beat attack that uses the Soul Mantra. Targets one adjacent enemy. Melee attack D8 plus Spirit versus Resilience. And can teleport the target up to 3 tiles.
I'm going to teleport you in the middle of my friends.
Is this reverse Cold Steel?
Shadow again. Chaos control.
And finally, Blade of Time. You strike down so quickly that it seems like you did not move at all, tracing the image for Time or Kawa in Rasaya Pasara. It's 2 beats, target self or one ally in burst 3. The target gains +1 beat on their next riff.
Nice. Fucking around with action economy is really nice for if you have classes that can do it in a good supportive way. I really like that. Oh! This guy looks fun, Monk.
Ah, yes, the Murder Glaive.
Yeah, not to be confused with the Murder Glove. The Murder Glaive. Monstrances of passion. Channelers of Mahadiwa Kalakatri. Murder goddess fulfillers of the promise of blood. They are a sentinel, meaning they're technically a tank, and their complexity is average. I've seen average in a while. Their discipline attributes are posture 24, speed 4. Wow, that's a fast tank. Lightning Bruiser. Jump of 1, evade of 1, bonuses to +1 to parry and +1 to spirit. Their weapons are colossal hammers, giant panabas, ceremonial swords, executioner's axes, or the straight sword. Their armors are cuirasses, peaked helmets, greaves, tassets, steel sabatons, boots. Sabatons? What? Are we gonna sing about the Swiss Guard today? Is that boots or just? I don't. Yeah, that's boots.
Yeah.
Why do you keep distorting the pixels? You dumb PDF. Stop that. Shoulder guards, bracers, and gloves. So they wear a lot of armor. Their discipline philosophy is Dark Heart. People are going to make their Baldur's Gate 3 jokes. Go ahead. When you attack an enemy you've taunted, gain a Thunderbolt afterwards. Okay, so this is all about taunt, hit. Which, good tanks should be doing. Whenever an enemy in Burst 3 of you starts their riff, they must roll a d8. If they roll equal to or lower than your current number of Thunderbolts, they become taunted until the end of their next riff. If they are already taunted, they suffer d8 damage. Okay. So it might be in your best interest to stack up Thunderbolts as much as you can. You can only carry so many Thunderbolts, true, but if they're rolling a d8 and rolling under your max amount of Thunderbolts, you're taunting everybody all the time.
All the reason to attack enemies. Again, Back to that dopamine loop. You attack enemies you taunt enemies. Passively, apparently.
In some cases, it looks like it. I'm sure there's some taunts that you have in your inflict violence when we look at it. For this dopamine loop, it would be Taunting means more attacking. Attacking means more taunting. Attacks mean more thunderbolts, which makes the whole loop tighter. There we go. Yep. I will take this joke and run it into the dirt, people. The horse is already dead. We don't give a fuck. But some things you can spend your thunderbolts on. Malice. Spend a thunderbolt before an enemy you've taunted makes an attack that doesn't include you as a target to deal D8 damage to them. If you're staggered, and for a reminder, stagger is a condition you get when you're under half your posture value, when you've taken half your posture value in damage. Deal 2d8 damage. So there's some nice crisis, desperation stuff in there. Saint Kali's Compassion. Does Saint Kali remove your heart? Spend a thunderbolt before an ally in the battlefield suffers an attack from an enemy you've taunted to give them block equal to your resilience. If you're staggered, give them resilience plus parry block instead. That's hardly fair. And then we have Makayao's Retribution. Spend a thunderbolt before an enemy you've taunted attacks you to deal d6 damage to them. If you're staggered, deal 3d6 damage. I really like Monk. It's Gubat-Banwa's version of the Dark Knight.
Yeah, it very much is. As if the design wasn't a dead giveaway, and also the Dark Knight is such a berserk tribute that when Miura passed, you saw whole rows of people doing that sword over shoulder pose in tribute.
Yes, there were tens of thousands of people on all the servers.
Mm-hmm. But
we have the Inflict Violence, Bloody-Handed Redemption.
Tweer, is that you?
Guts, is that you? Shat... Motherfucker! Shadowbringer! Again, Guts, is that you? I was kidding!
Why do I hear Ash Crow in the distance?
I don't know, Monk. Why do you? Reach out with Passionate Shadow and pull with the Hand of Darkness. It's a 1-beat attack with the Soul Mantra. It targets one enemy in range 1 to 3. Does D2 plus Spirit versus Resilience and pulls the target up to 2 tiles.
D6.
Or D6, yes. D6 plus Spirit Resilience versus Resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. But yes, pull the target up to 2 tiles.
You know, I could go with Scorpion for this. But
no, it's the Devilbringer. It's a hand.
Yep.
It's the Devilbringer. Hello, Deadweight. I will never not call Nero that. And then, Monk, as if to drive the point home. Soul Eater. Strike and then summon Fell Shadow to siphon spirits. 1 beat and attack with the Soul Mantra. Targets 1 adjacent enemy. Does D8 plus Spirit versus Resilience. Heal 1/4 of the total damage dealt. If you're staggered, heal half of the total damage dealt. No, this isn't the Dark Knight at all. Not at all. If anybody were to point at this and say that's not the Dark Knight, I would call you a bloody fucking liar.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally we have Censer, and this is spelled C-E-N-S-E-R, as in an incense holding item used for holy rituals. Sweep out with your censer, cursing them with holy passion. 1 beat, all enemies in Blast 3. The target becomes taunted until the end of your next riff. If they are already taunted, inflict debilitated, or stunned if you're staggered.
Local man too angry to die.
Oh my god.
So...
No, I have to read this before you take the Enlightenment, Monk. Which is also the name of the Enlightenment, I might add. Dalagang Bakal. Murder Glaive armors are living Iron Maidens. They have spikes that dig deeper into the host so that one never forgets their lifelong penitence, their pain, their sin for inflicting such violence upon this world. It's the Berserker armor. It's just the Berserker armor.
Yeah.
I love it. This is great. Thank you, Wax.
Mm-hmm. And, as mentioned, that is the name of the Enlightenment. Once per riff, when an enemy makes an attack against you, you may move your speed towards them afterwards. If they're adjacent, by the end of this movement, you may inflict violence. So that's a good way to fuck over people who might try and do ranged attacks.
Well, it's only once per riff, so it can only be one enemy that attacks you, and it has to be someone attacking you. But yeah, if there's a sniper in the back that's like, ha 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 ha, fuck you, shoots. Maybe you parry it, maybe it misses, maybe it hits you and you take some damage because you're trying to get the staggered anyway. Mm-hmm. But they're within your move 4. Walk right up to them. Hello, little puny man. Give me back my HP. Soul Eater!
Their liberation is self-love.
Guts! Is that you?
Level 1 is self-doubt. You summon the manifestation of your passion, a perfect copy of yourself, because who can love you but you? Let's see, it's 1 beat, targets 1 tile in burst 5. Put down a simulacrum of your passions, known as your enmity. Your enmity riffs after you do, but is an intangible enmity. Untargetable. On their riff, enmity has access to all your own abilities, a perfect copy of you. However, after that riff, your enmity dissipates.
Final Fantasy XIV Dark Knight, is that you?
Say also a bit of Reaper.
Little bit.
Level 2, Self-Shadow. Those that go through the training of the Murder Glaive are taught to wield their Kindaman to harness their primal passions. Turn it into powerful sorcery that can strengthen them against their heart.
Kinadman.
It's 1 beat, targets 1 tile in burst 5. Put down a simulacrum of your passions, known as your enmity. Your enmity riffs after you do, but is an untargetable enmity. On their riff, enmity has access to all your own abilities, a perfect copy of you. After they riff, make the following attack, and then they dissipate. Melee attack, 2d12 plus spirit versus parry, 4d12 if the target is taunted, and the target is stunned.
Your enmity really has a lot going out for you there.
And level 3, self-love. They understand the truth. Pain, fear, love, passion, regret, all these things are what makes a human, and thus to embrace them all is the ultimate strength. It's 1 beat, targets 1 tile in burst 5. Once again, talking about the simulacrum, which I'm not going to repeat that for a third time, except now it lasts for all of violence. They can perform the following melee attack for 1 beat on their riff. And it is basically the same melee attack as level 2.
Yeah, the addition of self-love is your enmity now lasts for the rest of violence. Mm-hmm. It's a direct upgrade from level to level. Oh, first you summon a copy that can do all your things for 1 riff, and then it goes away. Then you summon a copy that can do all the things you can do for 1 riff, but also gets this attack when it disappears. Oh, now you can summon this copy of you that can do all the things you can do for the rest of the fucking battle, and it can do this melee attack once per riff. Mm-hmm. With that, we get to the signature techniques, the first level being called Scarlet Edge of Love. With an incantation and a mudra, you bleed yourself and enchant your blade into Scarlet Flame. Now it really is a fucking Dark Knight! 1 beat attack, soul mantra, 1 adjacent enemy, melee attack d8 plus spirit versus parry. You can choose to suffer d4 damage to add plus d4 to the damage of the attack. You can suffer up to x d4 damage, with x being your resilience. Yeah, now it really is just a fucking Dark Knight. It really is just a fucking Dark Knight. I love it. This is fantastic. We get on blackened wings and talons. Femto, is that you? You harness your penitence and summon Wings of Night and Owl Talons out of darkness. 1 beat, attack, soul mantra. Target is 1 enemy at range 4. Effect, fly to a tile adjacent to the target and then make the following attack. Melee attack, D8 plus spirit versus parry. Effect, deal D6 damage to all enemies adjacent to the target. That really is just Griffith being Femto. I love this. This is great. We have Sibat Kaligo. With an incantation and a bleeding of the palm, you manifest your passion as a spear of fulminating dark. 1 beat, attacks is with the soul mantra, target 1 adjacent enemy, melee attack D6 plus spirit versus resilience. The effect is slowed on the target. If they're already slowed, override it with the impaled infliction instead. Impaled. A bleeding black star lance stakes you to where you stand. At the start of your riff, suffer 1d6 true damage, and then you cannot move voluntarily. You can only cleanse this affliction by spending a beat to remove the stake out of you. Okay. And the level 4 signature technique of the Murder Glaive is Saint Kali's Bloody Hand. Choose the victim of your atonement and make them share your penitence. It's 1 beat, the target is 1 adjacent enemy. The effect is inflict the condemned affliction on the target. Only 1 fighter can be condemned at a time. And the description of the condemned affliction is, while condemned, you suffer 2 demerit against all attacks that don't include the condemner as a target. When a condemned fighter moves, the condemner may pull the target adjacent to them afterwards, ignoring collision, and then inflict violence against them. Then they cleanse this affliction.
Although when you went into the first part of it, I was like, Ghost Rider, is that you? But
I love the fact that you can just leave this on them, and then anytime they attack someone that isn't you, they suffer 2 demerits when attacking. And that at any point when they move, you can just be like, hey, by the way, come here. I'm going to hit you now. It gets rid of the affliction, but it also, like, everybody's day is ruined after.
But this is a fucking Dark Knight.
It is a Dark Knight, yes.
So, next we have the Senapati. And this time there actually is a pronunciation guide on the side. Warlords, with an exclamation point. Disciples of the Conquering King, peerless tacticians, practitioner of the martial art of commandment and strategy, ministers of the battlefield. And we see our guy with a conch horn.
And a very interesting cleaver.
Their style is medium, their complexity is average. Attributes are posture 20, speed 4, jump 2, evade 1, and have a bonus of +1 to ferocity and resilience. Their weapons are Badyong, chopping swords, straight swords, bolo, gunong, barong, sundong. Their armor is baluti, cotton, baluti, bamboo, elephant hide, pakil, curious, paruka, badang, tampi,
No, that's Bahag.
bahag, tampi, sarong, and head wrap. Their disciplined philosophy is commander at arms. When you start your riff with at least 2 allies in your warlord aura, gain a thunderbolt. You have a warlord aura 1. All allies in your warlord aura add d4 to all violence rolls and defenses. And the thunderbolt uses are Inspire Valiance. When an enemy starts their riff in your warlord aura, you may spend a thunderbolt to add +2 to that ally's speed and jump. Oh god, imagine combining this with the Murder Glaive. Who's already
Keep going, Monk.
Imbue Bravery. When an ally starts their riff in your warlord aura, you may spend a thunderbolt to add +d4 damage to all of that ally's attacks until they end that riff. And Encourage. When an ally ends their riff in your Warlord aura, you may spend a Thunderbolt to heal them ferocity.
I have a sneaking suspicion, Monk. I have a sneaking suspicion that Joaquin Kyle walks Saavedra, and I am going to use his full name here, plus, his quotations name. Because this entire list of things that the Senapati can do, or Senapati, reads entirely like any of the battleships in Super Robot Wars that have a commander aura.
If by some miracle I can get him in the temple again, I will have to bring that up.
I want to know if he got some inspiration of this from at least a small part of Super Robot Wars. Even if he doesn't, he should still be a Mecha Man.
Given some of the similar tastes from the time I did speak with him, you're probably not far off.
All right. I just had to make that comparison.
Anyways, their inflict violence is our King City. First being Blow the Badyang. You signal the attack. It's one beat. Targets one ally in burst 3. The target may inflict violence. Now I'm once again getting Warlord vibes.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't attack you with his weapon, he attacks you with his allies. Then we have Seize the Thunderclaps. You strike and bark a command. It's one beat, a physical attack. Targets one adjacent enemy. Melee attack that deals D8 plus ferocity versus parry. One ally in burst 3 may move 3, tumbling. And Disarming Violence. Your assault sends the target reeling open. It's one beat, a physical attack. Targets one adjacent enemy. It's a melee attack that deals D8 plus ferocity versus resilience. And the effect, the next attack against the target gains plus D4.
Nice. With that, we get to the Enlightenment, called Panglima Bravura, which, according to the sidebar, Panglima means a warlord or military officer. And the reason for that is, at the beginning of violence, put down an adjunct in a tile within burst 2 of you. They are an allied servant. You can spend a beat to summon another adjunct in burst 2 of you, but you can only have up to 2 adjuncts at a time. The adjuncts stats are 1 posture, 4 speed, 2 jump, and 2 evade. Their inflict violences are commanded strike, or their inflict violence, I should say. It's commanded strike. It's 1 beat. It targets 1 enemy in range 2 to 4. It does a ranged attack of D6 plus 3 plus your legend versus parry. Like you said, he doesn't hit you with his weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have their liberation. Our hearts soar until glory. Level 1, keep the drums beating. For many Datu in the Isles, some sort of divinity is a useful claim to royalty. This is because a ruler's power base in the Isles depend on how much virtue or merit the common folk see that you have. It is 1 beat, and it's a physical attack. It targets 1 adjacent enemy. It does 3d8 plus ferocity versus parry as a melee attack. The effect is, all allies in burst 3 may also inflict violence. Monk, we were joking about the Persona stuff in previous chapters.
Life imitates art.
Indeed. It's time for an all-out attack! That's literally what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Level 2, Ever Fiercer the Heart. If they realize that another different warrior brave or king has a more powerful claim to royalty, whether it be divine heritage, bloodline, or superior ultraviolence, then they will switch allegiance on a dime, following the more powerful one. It's 1 beat, it targets all allies in the battlefield, and the effect is, the target may rush and inflict violence for free. This allows all of your friends, instead of just all allies within a certain range of you to inflict violence, this just allows all of your friends to rush which is a movement type we'll get into, I'm sure. And then inflict violence for free. And then level 3, we sail to heaven. Why would you follow a non-virtuous person? If you followed a virtuous leader, then you will cultivate virtue yourself. Sermons on Virtue and Rulership by Sri Kadasiga Mahawagas. It costs 1 beat, and the effect is gain +1 beat on your current riff, and then you and all allies in the battlefield may riff consecutively, one after another, with +1 beat on each riff. It's like, I'm going to spend a beat and get that beat back, sure. But now all of us are going to go in a row, right now. Have fun!
I believe we call this the Goodfellas style welcome.
There's actually an Eastern, a much more Eastern battle formation that this represents, or at least imitates, in my opinion. And I've seen it most commonly called wheel fighting. And what that is one group surrounds another group. And a wave goes in, does their attacks, rushes out. As the next wave comes in behind them, rushes out. It keeps the troops on the outside fresh and wears down the troops in the center. That's what this most represents, or at least imitates. Mm-hmm. But with that, we go to the signature techniques with you, Monk.
Alrighty then. So first is Resounding Warlord Beat. Depend on your allies and forge bonds with them. You can call upon them as needed. They trust you and you trust them. Now you strike and they know exactly how to follow it up. It's 1 beat, physical attack, targets 1 adjacent enemy. Is a melee attack dealing D8 plus ferocity versus parry. And 1 ally in burst 3 gains plus D6 damage and relentless on their next attack. So, continuing on with what we're tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have Lightning Lord style. Signal your allies to advance, and you all burst like lightning. This 1 beat targets you and 1 ally in burst 2, or 2 allies in burst 2. The target may move 4 tiles, tumbling. If they move through the same enemy at the same time, they inflict juggled on the target. You know, a long time ago, somebody told me that it'd be impossible to implement the combo system that we see in Chrono Trigger in tabletop. I hope that.
And yet, this feels just like Cross Strike.
Yeah, I hope that person who told me that is eating crow.
Mm-hmm.
So next we have the Lakasaman Whetstone. Laksamon, sorry. Take on the Monkey Warlord's pose and channel the Sage equal to heaven.
For those of you who don't get the joke, it's a Sun Wukong reference.
And if you don't get the joke, what are you, living under a rock or something?
No, but they might be wearing a headband that's too tight for them.
Tighten it further. It is a break. Trigger is you suffer a melee attack. Make the following attack against the triggering enemy afterwards. It's a melee attack that deals D8 plus ferocity versus parry. And 1 ally in burst 3 may move up to 2 tiles, tumbling, and then inflict violence against the target.
So this is you hit me! Punch! Hey, you hit my friend! Punch again!
And finally, we have Salandra Signals Violence. You bellow the command to strike, and then burst forward. The visage of a warlord god billows from you. It's 1 beat, targets you and 1 other ally in burst 3. The targets may inflict violence.
Man. There's some interesting shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Senapati does some really interesting, cool shit.
But it is very much doing 4E warlord shit.
Which makes me wonder exactly what the next guy is doing. Since he's called the Sword Saint. I mean, he even has a halo of fire, and kind of looks like he has a cardinal's robes there, doesn't he?
Yes.
Not that that would ever, actually be a thing in Southeast Asia, but still. Oh wait, it would. There were a lot of Catholic mercenaries there. Oh, I mean missionaries. Missionaries.
Nice save.
What can I say? Freudian slips can be covered, Monk. You just have to be careful. Artists whose souls have been cut in twain. Swordsmen that will complete the cutting motion of existence. They're a sharpshooter? And their complexity is very complex. Their discipline attributes are a posture of 18, a speed of 3, a jump of 2, and a evade of 1, and they have a bonus of +2 to ferocity. Their weapons are a sundong, a balo, a pinute, a garol, ginunting, katana, kampilan, kalis, parang, pira, and the saber. Which we see him actually wielding a saber in that art.
Mm-hmm.
A very classic cavalry saber, actually. That's what it looks like. Armor are war jackets, war pants, sarangs, war boots, war hats, loose robes, sword priest vestments. So they are literally saints, then. Living saints. Warhammer 40k, is that you? Their discipline philosophy is sword/soul. And I'm choosing to read that slash for artistic reasons. When you deal damage to at least 2 or more enemies with a single attack, gain a thunderbolt afterwards. They're a sharpshooter that does multi-attacks or AoEs. Okay, fun. Your thunderbolts manifest as Macalbos blades, either floating about you or sizzling as potential slashes. The more thunderbolts you have, the more fiery swords you have around you, Monk. Why is this starting to sound like Virgil?
Yep.
Flying Blade of Macalbos. When you make a ranged attack, spend a thunderbolt to deal +d6 damage. Potential parry. When you are the target of a melee... Well, there's no of there. It just says target There needs to be an of typo. When you are the target of a melee or ranged attack, spend a thunderbolt beforehand to add +d6 to your defenses. Space-ripping devil nature. I was kidding about Virgil! I was kidding! Space-ripping devil nature. Before you rush, you can instead choose to spend a thunderbolt to choose a fighter in range 3 to 4 and teleport to a tile adjacent to them. Inflict d4 damage to the chosen fighter.
Cold Steel strikes again.
No, this literally is Virgil.
Oh, yes.
That's just teleporting after Judgment Cut. That's just teleporting before Judgment Cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this is.
Yep.
And it's even called Space-Ripping Devil Nature, Monk. Anyway, the inflict violence is Principle of Slashing. Amelie slays Luzbel. Strike down with a blade longer than you. Us? Is that us?
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
One beat, it's a physical attack that targets an enemy in range 2 to 3. Okay, no wonder they're sharpshooters, Monk. They're attacking with swords bigger than them. It's a ranged attack that deals d8 plus ferocity versus parry. If the target is on lower elevation, deal plus d2 damage. So this one has very strong Emberwind vibes as well. With hey, I got the high ground, so now you take more shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Mitin tears at Alco. With a blade imbued with curling flame, strike down. It's one beat and attack that has the wind mantra? Blade imbued with curling flame? But why? Okay. The target is all enemies in line 4, and the area attack deals d6 plus ferocity versus... There's the fucking area attacks that they need for Thunderbolt generation.
Also, Blasting Zone, is that you?
No, I think Blasting Zone might be the next one, Monk. Among Dula's saber, strike with a saber of pure light. 1 beat, attack, gleam mantra. Target all enemies in path 3. Not line 3, path 3. Area attack, d6 plus ferocity versus resilience. God damn it!
What?
I scrolled to the next page and I already see things. Virgil is in this picture. Catholic missionaries / mercenaries are in this picture. We're in this picture. Squall Leonhard is in this picture. Read level 1 of the Liberation. I know you're not going to read it out loud yet, but read.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Before that, the Enlightenment is Keening Thunderhead Cut / Eviscerate God. At the start of your riff, you can choose to sheath your weapon. If you do, you can only unsheath it during your next riff. While your weapon is sheathed, you cannot make any attacks, but anytime you are moved, you can teleport a number of tiles instead. When you make an attack, you must unsheath your weapon. That attack gains plus 2d8 damage, gleam, and inflicts wide open.
It's his Judgment Cut! This is just a delayed Judgment Cut! Because you can teleport while holding Judgment Cut! That is fucking Virgil!
Oh. I'd also like to note the sidebar about blade culture. Blades have mostly been known as farming implements, used for cutting down trees and shearing away bramble. They were not made for killing, not originally. Anyway, the Liberation is Sword Nirvana. There's a joke I could make, but I'm not from Seattle, so I'm not going to make it. Also, I don't
okay,
like
we don't.
Hmm?
That's okay. We don't smell like Teen Spirit anymore, anyway.
Also, I'm not trying to sue for an album that I appeared on the cover of as a baby.
That guy is dumb.
Yeah. Level 1, Garden of Limitless Swords. Cause effect is a single thing that is not separate from each other. Therefore, they are not two different things, but rather two parts of the same whole. It's 1 beat, attack with Gleam. Target all enemies in burst 3. Area attack that inflicts 4d6 plus ferocity versus parry.
The name of that fucking...
Emiya,
is that you? No, Monk! Distance attackers using swords.
Yeah.
It is Emiya Archer. It is nameless.
Mm-hmm. It's like, which Emiya? Yes.
Tori's on!
Level 2, Sword Soul. Cause/effect is exemplified in the beginning of time, where all existence was nothing but sky and sea, both devoid of color or light, an endless undulation, a chaotic dialogue of winds and waves. When did we go into the land of darkness in Kingdom Hearts? See, one beat, an attack with Gleam, all enemies in Blast 5. Their attack that inflicts 4d6 plus ferocity versus parry. Your sword soul is laid bare. For the rest of violence, you cannot be healed or heal, but anytime you or an enemy starts or ends their riff, deal 2d6 damage against them. However, 2d8. However, if you are defeated while your sword soul is laid bare, you are rent in half and killed immediately. Jeez, that is anytime you or an enemy starts or ends their riff. Does that mean you could do this twice?
I think it's or. So anytime an enemy starts their riff, you could do 2d8, or anytime an enemy ends their riff, you could do the 2d8. Mm-hmm. It's not and, it's or.
I can understand why there's the you can't heal or be healed, because this is something that has a very wide area of effect, and once again, this thing loves area of effect. Especially since that effect doesn't state a range.
No, it's just you deal damage to them. And I know why. We're going to go into some Shentia again, everybody. Sword souls are one of the most common tropes with sword cultivation in Xianxia and Wuxia novels. Sometimes they're called life-bound swords, other times they're called sword souls, sometimes they're called bonded flying swords. But they all amount to the same thing. A sword the cultivator has refined inside themselves, whether as part of their soul, whether as a sword in their acupoints, whether as a sword that they just bound to themselves. And it is a weapon with literally infinite range. As far as the divine senses of a cultivator can reach, basically. So the sword soul being able to just do 2d8 damage whenever the fuck you want it to makes sense.
Yep. Then level 3, Peerless Sword Consummation. The sky and sea were not separate, but part of the same whole. That is the chaos, the first cause-effect. Thus is the importance of learning the cutting art of the sword. The sword exemplifies that anything that is two was once one, simply cut in twain. From the one came two.
From the two came three.
From the three came all.
A very old, one of the numerous translations of part of the Tao Te Ching regarding how from one came the Tai Chi, or as most people know it, the Yin Yang. From the Tai Chi came the hexagrams, and the hexagrams of the I Ching describe all things through its divination. It also means that from Tao came Tai Chi, and from Tai Chi came the three levels of heaven, man, and earth, and that made all of existence. Mm-hmm. No, I don't read too many wuxia novels. Shut the fuck up.
Anyways, it's one beat, target the battlefield. Deal.
Wait. You target the battlefield.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Deal your legend D8 damage to all enemies in the battlefield, and then split the battlefield cleanly in half, vertically or horizontally. Any enemy that tries to move into the other side of the cleaved battlefield must be able to jump at least 2 tiles, and even then they suffer 1/4 of their posture as true damage after the movement. If you are ready, you may rent yourself in half to split the battlefield vertically, horizontally, and diagonally twice, creating an asterisk instead. All enemies in the line of any cut are immediately killed.
So this is another person that kills themselves with their level 3 if they want to. Mm-hmm. And they do it to do the most awesome fucking thing ever? I'm just gonna create a fucking 8-pointed star of death in the middle of the battlefield? Hell yes! I love the fact that it says any enemies in the line of the cut are immediately killed. What if the Sword Saint decides I'm going to finally accomplish my sainthood because we're at the big bad here? Big bad's like, oh, I'm suddenly in too many pieces to function. I don't know how to feel about this class anymore, Monk. It is a whirlwind. Mm-hmm. We got Virgil, we got Amia, we got ourselves, we got Catholic missionaries.
May as well add Raiden into the mix.
Yeah, with the Peerless Sword Consummation, yeah. That's got some judgment cut to it, but this is like straight up, I'm gonna cleave the battlefield. Mm-hmm. After all, he did suplex a giant crab mech named Excelsius.
Yep.
But, signature techniques are, Makobo's Cutting Field / Sword Pure Land. You unsheath your blade and then cut 1,000 times in the span of a single second. That's judgment cut. How many judgment cuts have we had now? Like 3.
Yep.
It's 1 beat, an attack using the Wind Mantra. All enemies in Blast 3. It's an area attack that deals D6 plus ferocity, D6 plus ferocity versus resilience. The effect is leave behind a sword field until the end of your next riff. And a sword field states any enemy that starts their riff in a sword field suffers D6 true damage or D8 if they're bleeding. Level 2 is the Passion Flower Blooming Sword / Gleaming Sword Comet. You surge forward, unsheathing, and then unleash 1,000 blades. It's 1 beat and a physical attack that's also a flurry. Move 5 tiles in a straight line tumbling. Deal ferocity plus d4 damage to all enemies you move through. As a flurry, you may spend another beat to sheathe your blade after the movement, letting you make the following attack. Target all enemies in burst 1. Deal d10 plus ferocity versus resilience. So many unsheath attacks. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have number 3, the Sidereal Rosary, also known as the Batalatala. You cut an asterisk into the air and then calcify it with a breath. It's 1 beat. The effect is choose a tile in burst 3. Place an asterfix on the tile until the end of your next riff. An asterfix states, any enemy that suffers an attack while within burst 2 of the asterfix suffers an additional d6 true damage. When you make an area attack, you can choose the asterfix as the origin point. What? I'm going to attack all the way over there. You can't. Yes, I can. There's an asterfix there. Fuck. Who are you going to attack? All those guys in line 4. Wait, what are you doing? Inflict violence. Mitum terris et alco. All enemies in line 4. Hit them. Shit. And finally, we get to technique 4. Sword Judas, as in Judas Iscariot, / Ramira deflects Batala's judgment. You redirect an attack with contempt, your blade shining. It's a break. The trigger is you apply your defenses on an attack against you. The effect is roll d8 plus ferocity against the attack instead of defending against it. If you roll higher than the attack's damage, you cancel it against you. If you roll perfectly equal to it, you perfectly parry it. You cancel the attack, gain a Thunderbolt, and then redirect the effects of the attack at you back at the attacker or any fighter in burst 6. Otherwise, the attack goes through without any defenses applied. This is a risk versus reward thing, and we love that, Monk.
Oh, yeah.
I really like this one, though. I'm going to roll d8 plus ferocity. Oh, you rolled 9 damage, and I rolled 9 damage? Parried. Thunderbolt. By the way, have your attack back. Fuck.
Despite how the Sword Saint's appearance in the art does not fully encompass what it's doing. This is pretty much every quick draw warrior archetype that you've seen throughout anime, manga, video games, and everything else.
We have a Virgil. We have a Raiden. We have a Shiro Emiya. We have us.
And I know its style being sharpshooter is a bit misleading because this is not really a sharpshooter as much as it is a carpet bomber.
Well, and it's a sharpshooter because it primarily specializes in distance attacks.
Mm-hmm. But it's all about getting that AOE.
Yeah. And then manifesting little swords. Remember when I said manifesting little swords around you felt a lot like Virgil? I was fucking kidding. Now this whole thing feels a lot like Virgil.
Mm-hmm.
Bolt on some Raiden, bolt on some Emiya, bolt on some of us.
Yeah, it doesn't. The art doesn't exactly do any favors in that regard, given the fiery cuts surrounding him.
Yep, those are the swords you get from Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
The blades of Makalbas.
Yeah. And I do think the slash part in a lot of the naming conventions in this was very much intentional. The cutting motion even applying to the text.
Yeah, it was artistic.
Mm-hmm.
It was totally artistic take, but I love it nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
That
But
Monk, let's just one thing here. Let's just if we have to name a character from anime, or I have to do it with these ones since so many of them have been very evocative. Barrel Witch. What is it most like from video games, manga, anime, etc.? Anything.
I would actually say the titular Bullet Witch from, well, Bullet Witch.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it seems like an easy one. The Blade Weaver. Our Stance Dancing Sword Sorcerers.
I would say pick any Gish character that you can think of, but since going with that would be going with just a Gish character would be a little bit obvious.
Also a little cheating.
Yeah. I'm instead going to say Bayonetta.
Okay, I can see Bayonetta. A little bit of a stretch to me, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, they're two characters, but since you play them both at the same time, I'm going to count it. Jonathan and Charlotte from Portrait of Ruin.
I can go with that.
Because that literally is Stance Dancing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We already know that the Murder Glaive is Guts. We don't really need to say anything more there.
I mean, maybe we could be smartasses and say Frey.
That's... I will allow that. The Senapati. I know that you compared them to the Warlord class.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking more a specific character.
Specific character. In that regard, any lead by the front general will do, or any lead from the front commander will do. I almost want to say Liu Bei.
Okay, I can see that. I was going to be cheeky and say the unnamed hero from the new Dynasty Warriors.
Oh, that is cheeky. You.
That's me. That's me being cheeky. But I'm going to be even cheekier, Monk, because I'm going to refer to something I said about this character earlier. Mitsuba Grey Valley, commander of the fucking Dreistrager in Super Robot Wars 30.
I'll allow it. And, of course, the Sword Saint. We made a bunch of references to different character action swordsmen, but we have to go with Virgil at the end of the day. The majority of what we're seeing out of this is Virgil.
No, yeah, definitely. Literally almost everything is Virgil. Mm-hmm. You've got Judgment Cut, you've got the Summoned Swords, you've got basically everything that's Virgil. The reference to Shiro Emiya with the name of the Garden of Endless Swords. Yeah, nobody's gonna make that connection in between it and Unlimited Blade Works. Nobody's gonna make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, right in with the whole let's just cut things into cut my life into pieces, literally.
This is not our last resort.
Yeah.
And of course, in 2 weeks we will be doing the Hae Kingdom, and just looking at the art for that is going to be interesting.
Very interesting, and I think you that name, the name for the kingdom is interesting as well.
Mm-hmm. That being said, obviously, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we will not be doing Gubat-Banwa next week because of our 3-in-1 rule. Next week we'll be doing the quick start /introduction to the Planet of the Apes RPG that is currently crowdfunding on Kickstarter and coming to us from Magnetic Press. And some motherfuckers, when I originally shared news about this, had jumped to the conclusion that it was based on the new movies. It is not. There was also the assumption that it was jumping on the 5e bandwagon. It is not. Because right on the cover is West End Games, and you best believe I gave people shit for that.
As I said earlier, crows together, humility.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is slightly modified, but it's using a version of the D6 system, which has been a proper open license for literal decades now. And the core trilogy that came out in 2004, you can get that in PDF form for free now, because Open D6 has been a thing for the longest time. I know some of you might be saying, isn't that the same system that Star Wars used back in the day? Yeah, and D6 spaces Star Wars in all but name. The D6 system is a very robust system. It has been for the longest time. That's why there's still such a dedicated fan following to Star Wars D6. And Saga Edition as well, but not as much. I'd say largely because of some of the burnout that happened with the first wave of the open gaming license, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
We don't get into that now.
Yeah. The point is there's a wide variety, and if I can, I may bug an old friend of ours to see if she'd be willing to join us for that. Given our shared history with the D6 system. But like I said, that is going to be a story for another night. And of course tomorrow, you and I have a return to Heavens and Heresies to look forward to. And I decided to play something I usually don't.
He played a hippie, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I took his shtick. I'm playing the monk-like character of the game.
I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees. Don't listen to these trees. They speak Vietnamese.
Hippie.
And of course, we will be doing a construction stream on Geek Watch this Sunday, and that'll be just enough time for me to do that and do Forbidden Door in the same day. So please look forward to all of that. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
経済を卒業時半や